colleagues, we have been greeted here with a Christian chant. I think it's just proper to try to reciprocate this friendly gesture, so I'm giving you a very short recitation in Sanskrit for the general happiness and well-being of all beings, including humans, but also animals, because that's the way many people in the East think. So, Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramaya, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So what I'm trying to talk about today, well, what I can do in something like 15 minutes, especially all of you tired and hungry, is just a short remark on the concept of tolerance. Okay, so to fit it into this conference, you know, understanding is the first step towards understanding. Of course, two different meanings. So, if you understand what another person does, first step. Second, you understand why he does that thing. Then you have a chance that you understand him in the sense, or her, that you sympathize with the person, at least be more friendly towards him or her than before. That's not an easy task. You know, my job is I'm a philologist, so I know how difficult it is. In any case, in order to do that, most of the times what you have to do is to translate in many different senses. But of course, in the most literal sense, translating from one language to another language. And if you try to do that, you realize that it's impossible. You just don't have the words to translate from another language if it's not exactly your culture. Within Europe, you often can translate pretty well, but if you want to translate from faraway cultures, it's just impossible. And the problem with the words is not a heavy problem, it's just the first sign. Your problem is with your concepts. It's not that I don't have a word, for instance, in Hungarian or in English, to translate, say, an Indian term. Just we don't have the idea, we don't get it. We cannot really express it in anything shorter than a page. Okay, and that's still the beginning. Once you are done translating, then you want to explain and analyze and interpret. And the problem is that at this point, you lose your focus, and you don't realize any longer that you don't have the concept. When you're just talking about another belief, another philosophy, another tradition, you just freely use your terms. You talk about their religion, which is absolutely inadequate to talk about Buddhism or Hinduism as a religion, or it can be adequate, but that means that first you have had to modify your concept of religion absolutely drastically from what you had before based on Christianity, and perhaps a little bit expanded based on Jewish and Islamic religion. Because, you know, these Abrahamic religions are close to each other, but once you move out of it into Taoism and into the religions of jungle tribes, that's something absolutely different. And, well, of course, there are lots of other concepts you use so freely, but you must not, or you should not, like family, or law, or country, or a beggar. All of them can mean completely different things from what you instinctively believe they do. Or love means something absolutely different. You cannot translate it into Indian languages because they just don't have a word love. They have 5. Okay, they are different. Once you realize this, you are in a happy position. So you are in a position to start to understand the other and to revise your ideas. And that means you can understand your own culture. You get to a very reflected position. So once you understand that religion is not necessarily of the type to what you're accustomed to, that means that you will far better understand what is so specific in your own religious tradition, for instance. Okay. A nice example for this problem I'm talking about is the concept of tolerance. So we think it's a nice word. If you're a tolerant person, yes, that is nice. That means that you meet with something which is strange, and you just don't start to shout. But, okay, how interesting it is. Let me ask why, and so on. Okay, so it seems nice. What I'm trying to say that it's not so nice if you are talking about inter-religious discourse and intercultural discourse. Of course, it's much better than intolerance or even persecution, but it's way not enough, absolutely not enough. How it belongs here, what I have been talking so far about translation. Yeah, if you think of Eastern religions, they are generally believed to be very, very tolerant religions. Some are tolerant and some others are even more tolerant. Especially the most tolerant Eastern religion is believed to be Buddhism. Okay, now Buddhism is no more tolerant than a deer is vegetarian. Okay, a deer is not vegetarian, just doesn't want to eat flesh. It's not his idea, just likes grass and such things. Now a Buddhist is not tolerant at all. He just lacks the idea that other people should be Buddhists, that other people who are not Buddhists are somehow mistaken or whatever. No, they don't have this idea. And it's not something modern coming from the era when Buddhism became international. No, the Buddha himself, in very famous Mahaparinibbana Sutta, his last discourse, he talked about many things that help people survive. And one of the things he emphatically emphasized is that they should keep their faith. They should give veneration to their traditional shrines and so on. Probably you know that Buddhism was not a traditional religion. They have no shrines and so on. So that's what he said, please keep your religion. And he didn't say that forget your religion because I have something better to say. No idea of that. And that just remained with Buddhism. So once you realize this, then you see that there's another attitude to religions. It's not tolerance, that I'm trying to be non-aggressive and as far as possible accepting your existence. No, that's not enough. Absolutely not enough. What you need is completely be convinced that other people with other religions are as good as you. And not only Abrahamic religions, any, even, horrible to say, atheists are as good as you. Their faith is as good as you. Now, this seems something impossible for a Christian or for a Muslim to accept, or for a Jew. It's in your book that you are right, your God is the only God. So it seems to be impossible to accept, but it's logical that that's what you have to do. So is there a way out? Of course there is a way out. The way out is modify your religions. That's not a heavy demand. The history of any religion is about how to reinterpret. Just let me quote a Jewish prophet of some 2,000 years ago, when asked about whether you should stone an unfaithful woman. She said, oh, okay, yeah, that's in the law. Yes, and well, I'm not trying to talk freely. So to quote, he that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. Okay, so they didn't say that forget the law. The law is law, but you can give another interpretation. All religions' histories of this. Obviously, everyone knows about the history of their religion. We don't really think of it, but think of the early history of, say, Christian religion. You know how much reinterpretation was going on. So it's possible. And what I'm saying is, unless you do this, that is, explain that what my book says is that the other books are also true. This is a heavy task, but you have to do it. Unless you do this, in something like a century, your religion will be obsolete. You know, the world is changing fast. So without this, there will be no real understanding, and your followers will leave you. So this is an absolute must. Obviously, it's a demand for theologians and not for everybody in the religion. Very clear. You have to think about ways how you can do that, because tolerance, a nice first step, way not enough. Okay, thank you for your attention.